In this video, I'm going to give you an introduction on how to work with documents within your content management system. What I've got here in front of me is just an example web page which I've created for this illustration with a couple of bullet points and some lorem ipsum in place. So what I'm going to want to do is first of all I'm going to want to select the text that we're going to become the link through to that document, because we're not actually inserting the document into the page itself, we're just linking to it as an external resource. So selecting the first line of my bullet points, I'm then going to choose Document Manager, which is available on the Home tab, but also available on the Insert tab, which is just the icon. Both go to exactly the same place, it's just there for your convenience so that you're not having to switch between tabs if you're already editing something. So clicking on the icon will bring up the Document Manager window, and you'll notice on the left hand side we have the file structure. If I was to click on a folder, it would show me which files are in that folder, and then on the final one we'll have a few extra options when we select a file that we want to adjust. I do want to draw your attention to this file structure, however. There is a public and a members only file, which is important when you're uploading your file to make sure that you put it in the appropriate place. The members only file is there for people who have a private area of their website. And what happens is if a document is uploaded into the members only section of the website, then it will be given the same access rights as if you were in a web page. So if a person is trying to access that file without logging in first, it will then prompt them to log in. If they log in, it will then show them the file, but if they don't have access to it, it will then deny them access to it. So it gives you that extra level of security to know that your documents are as protected as your web pages. But for this purposes, I'm just going to be staying within the public section, and we have some folders already in place, but I want to make my own new folder for these documents, and I'm going to click on the new folder button in the top ribbon bar, and I'm going to give it a name, which is just going to be my folder. You probably want to make it a little bit more meaningful for your actual own work. Choosing OK, it will add it into the list. Selecting it will then show me that it's currently empty because I've only just created it. But now with it selected, I can upload new files into that by clicking on the Upload button in the top bar. With that selected, I'll go through to the Upload window, which will give me the option of uploading at least 3 files to begin with, but I can add more if I wanted to. I can also remove them if I've got too many. And I also have the ability to toggle on this overwrite file if already exists. So what we can do is if I was to select a file, and select my file called example.pdf, and if I already had a file of that name and I tried to upload it, it would warn me that there was already a file of that name and that it stopped uploading it at that point. That's good. It's a protection so that you don't accidentally overwrite files. As you get a large file structure, it's easy to end up giving files the same sort of name. So it's there for a level of protection. However, there are times that you're going to want to actually upload and replace an existing file. Perhaps it's a work in progress, or you've made some changes to the document and you want to upload it. So all of the links that go to the old file will now be redirected to the new file. If that's the case, just tick the overwrite file if exists on, and then it won't be prompted and it won't do the check to make sure that the file isn't already in place. We limit the file size of the document that you're allowed to upload. This is a usability issue, particularly with access to websites now through mobile devices, etc. File size is more important than ever. So what we do is we limit it down to just under a megabyte to begin with. That should be more than enough for your average document, if it's optimized correctly for the web. If it's not optimized correctly for the web, this prompts you to basically say it can be better, you probably need to optimize your file. We then also limit the types of files that we can upload, because we only want to be able to give access to files that are commonly used on the web. The most common of which, and the one that we would always recommend, is the PDF file. It has lots of built-in features, accessibility, can embed fonts and other such information, so you make sure it's appearing in exactly the same way that you want it to. But more importantly, it's free to get hold of the programs to access it. If people don't already have access to it, they can download it from a website. But most of the web users nowadays have it in by default, so it's always going to be shown as you intend it to be. We also allow for Word documents and Excel spreadsheets in their various file format extensions, depending on which version of Office you use to create it. But most of those formats, again, should be published into a PDF file beforehand. PDF is by far the best one, and we always recommend using it when possible. So with our file selected, I'm then going to choose the upload button, and you'll see that my file now is listed in my folder, and it gives me the file size of that file. Now, in order to link through to that file, I need to select it, and then you'll see the link text, which is the text I selected before I came to this page. If I wanted to make some text tweaks to it, I will be able to do so from here, and it will be changing the text that we had selected before. We also have a target. Now, because we're opening a document, what we want is much like an external website. When people click on the document, they will look at it, probably read what they need to do, or if it's not the right document, they'll then just close it down. If we open it in a new window, our web page is going to be sitting there waiting for them in the background. If we don't, when they close it down, they also close your website down. So it's good practice in those situations to actually select the target to be new window. There are lots of other options in that list, but you can ignore almost all of them. Any other time that you need to use one of those, you'd probably be instructed to do so by ourselves. So none and new windows are the only ones you need to worry about. We also have the option of adding a tooltip onto it. So if I wanted to, I can give extra information, if I can type, and then apply a class to it, which we'll ignore for now. Choosing insert, then we'll see that now our link has become active, and if I hover over it, our extra information tooltip has popped up in place. I want to make sure that that's working on the website correctly before I publish it, so I'm going to save it, then choose preview, and check that everything is working accordingly. So hover over it, extra information is available, I click on it, opens in a new window, we see our PDF file, all is working as intended. I can then close that down and go back to our web page, content that our document is now working correctly, and I can publish the page to make it live. And that's all that you need to know about working with the Document Manager.